So this is my second video. I realized that before I posted any more that I probably should give a little more of a backstory. I suffered from major depressive disorder diagnosed while I was active duty around 22. Obviously put on tons of medications, seen every psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, counselor, for 20 something years, and none of them really did anything. The medicines, anybody who's suffered with mental illness will admit, they work for so long, or you're just a guinea pig. I took myself off everything as of April of this year, 2022, even going through the biggest hell of my entire life, which is hard to believe that I would consider this being the biggest hell when I was molested as a child. I was bullied most of my childhood, predominantly by my older stepbrothers. My dad cheated on my mom with just it's like a Cinderella story, honestly. Like the most unloving woman ever. She stole him away from his family, all for money, because she's greedy, always was, unloving, and I was fortunate to have an amazing mom. She was a really good mom. However, she never dealt or even talked to me about my molestation. I honestly didn't even know really the ins and outs. Most of my life, I didn't really learn much about it until this year. Joining the military was the best thing I ever did. It kind of gave me thicker skin. It was so easy to make me cry growing up, not knowing it's because I'm sensitive. And I used to be so easy to make cry. And my stepbrothers delighted in anything they could do to do that. And getting a thicker skin gave me a lot of confidence. But I will also say, being put on Paxil, which was one of the first medications I was ever put on, was amazing for me. It seemed to change my personality. It made me less impulsive, less easy to cry. I mean, it didn't make me a robot. I still had all my emotions. But I remember the third day I was on it, waking up, and all I could remember is feeling content. Like, this is what people feel like. They're not sad all the time. My dad used to call me, it's a mix-up. He used to call me Eeyore, as a kid. I was Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. But, that might have been fixable had I seen counseling, to deal with the trauma of being molested. That medicine did a lot for me. Eventually it wore off, and, I played guinea pig for 20 something years. And then being on 12-hour shifts in the military, switching between days, nights, I was on sleeping medication. I mean, it was awful. I worked in a dark vault, which is definitely not healthy for anybody who suffers with any kind of, anxiety, depression. I never saw the daylight, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., or in 3 months it'd be 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It didn't matter. And I did that for, 10 years. But yeah, my skin got thicker. I worked with a lot of great guys. I worked with a lot of good people. I also worked with a lot of bad people, which is why at 10 years I was so glad to be done. Not to mention, I was taught a skill that was really, really lucrative. So I knew even in my first year, I'd make double what I was making in the military. And it progressed through the years. I learned this year that I could pull myself off all these medications through breathing. And I know it's hard. The hardest part of healing is being okay with crying. And it doesn't make you weak. And you have to do it. You have to release whatever's happened to you, whether it's been horrible bosses, jobs that didn't appreciate you, friends that didn't appreciate you, no matter how loyal you were. You know, and once you started standing up for yourself and setting boundaries, all of a sudden they turn on you because everything's okay as long as you're there for them. The minute that they do something that upsets you and you speak up about it, you're the bad person. They forget about all the good things you did for them, all the times you reached out when you were struggling. I was also raped when I was in the military. But unlike most females, let me take that back. Let me not generalize. I was an adult. I made a poor decision. That doesn't give somebody a right to take advantage of me. But let me remind every female, don't go around saying you're a strong female if you're not going to take responsibility for your decisions. I drank too much. I went back to his room with him. That was 2 errors on my side. I knew the guy was not a rapist, okay? I was not a virgin, let's be honest. He was also drunk. And I was not going to ruin his life and ruin his career when we were 2 adults and I changed my mind last minute. I took control of it. It is what it is. You know what? In fact, that was less traumatic than most of the things I'd been through in my life. People say, oh, I'm so sorry you're divorced. I'm like, are you kidding me? That was the simplest thing I've been through. I lost my brother when I was 33. He died of a drug overdose. 4 years later, my mom died. Sorry. And then my dad died in 2019. It's been rough. I never wanted to get married or have kids. I wanted a successful career because my mom struggled raising my brother and I when my dad pulled the child support because of my greedy stepmother. 13 years. So because she did that, I had to start working at 11 years old to help because I was the older child. And I'd always worked my ass off. Because if I wanted something, it's not given to you. You have to work for it. And I had a really great, successful career. And then the pandemic took that. But honestly, it was going downhill. Because, again, a company didn't appreciate me. I'd been with them for 6 years. My top secret security clearance, which had been reinvestigated 4 times prior, was taking too long this time. For no reason, because I have no legal issues. I didn't, I was a rule follower. Other than my depression. They made me feel like a criminal every single time I had to get reinvestigated. So eventually the company had to let me go after 6 years because it was taking too long. I was making probably 130 plus thousand a year at that point. Then I had to step down to become a security clearance investigator. Boy, was that eye-opening. The cases that came across my desk were disgusting. Government is disgusting. 6 DUIs. We all make mistakes, okay? 3 would be my max, I would say. Because you know what? Most of us have been lucky. Let's be honest. We've all driven with a drink. We've all had it. But 6, and you're being investigated for a top secret clearance. Are you kidding me? Child molestation. Every drug in the book. I mean, we aren't talking small things. We aren't talking a little mistake here, a little mistake. We're talking serious stuff. And these people came across my desk, and they made my life a living hell over depression. I never once checked myself into a hospital. I was always very, very, very responsible with my depression. I took my medication as I was supposed to. It wasn't until I lost my career, which was the final nail in the coffin, to everything else being taken from me. Having to sell my home, all that was left of my mom, divorce with my husband at the time. Literally having to sell everything off. I've had credit since I was 18. I was paid everything, Now I've had everything taken. Even my storage unit was sold off. I couldn't afford to pay that. My 5th wheel that I bought when I couldn't afford an apartment anymore was repossessed. First repossession I've ever had. My truck's in repossession right now too, and by the grace of God, I still have it. As things turn around, I'm just trying to figure it out. Anyway, my goal was basically to let people know that you can do it without drugs, but it's not going to be easy. Yoga helps. Meditation is the hardest thing in the world. You know what? If you like to smoke pot, that's the best time to do it, because pot removes your ego. I used Kratom, which is a very, very, very good substance. Do not listen to what the government's telling you about it. It is an herb from the coffee family that's been used in Indonesia for years. It has gotten so many people off opiates. It's an opiate antagonist. There is no opiates in it, but it works like an opiate. It would have saved my brother's life. It has saved a lot of addicts' lives. I found that not only did it help me for sleep and pain, because I had to have back surgery and the VA would only give me Motrin. I don't have an addictive bone in my body. I know that sounds unusual, but I have had 15 surgeries in my life on morphine drips. I had a 7-hour surgery on my jaw. Yeah, like I don't abuse them, but all they would give me is Motrin. Somebody introduced me to Kratom and it was life-changing. It helps my anxiety, my depression, and I just take it when I need it. And you can buy it right from a smoke shop, health food stores, lots of places sell it now. Anyway, so my continual videos are going to talk about some of what I experienced when I finally did check myself into a hospital. It's been a nightmare. So thank you, and I'll see you again soon.